I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
And I'm all out of bubblegum!
Astro Radios is a horror, cult, exploitation film podcast by filmmakers, critics, musicians, journalists, and fans for the film obsessed. Here is your host, Derek Terry.
Welcome back, true believers, to another episode about ninja hijinks. We're here tonight to talk about American Ninja 3 and 4.
The way of the ninja is a world of mystery, and only the best can master its secrets. Now, a new strength has joined the competition.
Representing the United States of America, Sean Cunningham.
You made the cover of Inside Karate this month.
This Cunningham is in our way. He is ninja.
Thrust into a dangerous arena of double dealing, the champion must now become a warrior and prove himself faster, stronger, braver than a force of super ninja. And more powerful than any who have come before to thwart a plot of worldwide domination.
What is going on here?
This could become the most threatening type of warfare known to mankind. Germ warfare.
General Andreas asked for a superhuman.
You selling out to a terrorist? That's wholesale slaughter.
It's time for action.
Steve James, Marjo Gortner, and introducing David Bradley as the American Ninja. Now the power is in his hands. American Ninja 3, Blood Hunt.
Boys, how about it? American Ninja 3 and 4. Before we get into this tonight, I'm going to let a cat out of the bag. Y'all are some bullshitters. These movies are top shelf bangers. And man, this has been the best franchise year we've had fucking yet. Not a single fucking dry eye in the house. These movies are awesome, and I can't wait to talk about them. So this whole gimmick of you guys, I think, I forgot who it was last episode that was kind of like giving me this weird foreboding feeling like, oh boy, we're about to get into the shit with the American Ninja movies, because I gotta tell you, I'm fucking loving this so far. I wish there were 16 American Ninja movies, because if they're all as good as these so far, holy fuck.
Hey, call Vista Street Entertainment. There might be.
Okay, well, that's where you done fucked up. Like I was talking with my bud Corey Udler the other day. He sent me, every now and then he'll send me links to music and whatnot, and he sends me the new Striper single. And the Striper single is this song called "Take It to the Cross." And I'm listening to it, and maybe I'll play a little clip of it here, folks, so you can experience the hijinks that is Striper's new single, Take It to the Cross, which we're starting a whole new hashtag Take It to the Cross, is literally the most ridiculously stupid thing I've ever heard. And that's saying something. It starts off and it sounds like, oh yeah, this is just a run-of-the-mill 50-year-old Striper, guys just deciding to go out there and do some Hesher metal. And then for some reason it goes into a this Hesher song, and all of a sudden you hear the singer who's singing this operatic, power metal type shit go, take it to the cross, take it to the cross. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? This is a goddamn work. I don't believe this is true and this is reality. And I kind of hold the car. I'm like, what the fuck? Were you seriously?
What's amazing about this is that, I mean, without hearing the context of this, I'm thinking that is the ultimate comeback to anybody who is just being a drama queen about something. Like, oh, I have it so hard. Take it to the cross.
Trust me, Scott, you heard this thing, you'd be like, I just wasted 70 seconds of my life.
My parents said, "Oh, you like metal," and they actually got me 2 Stryper albums during the 80s.
Oh my God! Well, let me tell you,
they're on that Enigma label you seem to like. That has that other band that you like. What are they called? I'm like, Slayer.
yeah. Not to make this episode Stryper chat, but I was at a bar like a month ago, and it was a karaoke night, and there was this guy that got up there and sang "To Hell with the Devil," and it was just about the most glorious thing I'd ever witnessed in my whole miserable fucking life.
I love that shit. That's your next show, Derek. The Stripe Cast. It's the next show.
Don't hold your breath, folks. That's not going to happen. That is not an offshoot of Astro Radio Z. I do not endorse this in any way, shape, or form. But anyways, the whole point of Stryper Chat tonight was the fact that I had talked about this on an outtakes episode for my Patreons. And if you guys aren't subscribing to my Patreon, it's only $1 measly fucking a month. You get all sorts of goddamn hijinks. Go over there, get a bunch of episodes with us being complete assholes. But I was talking about on that episode how for some reason on the last franchise episode for American Ninja 1 and 2, you guys seem to be gleefully awaiting me, like my opinion on how bad these next few movies were going to be. Almost like I was kind of setting you up for Howling New Moon Rising. In that I have this sneaking suspicion that you guys, for some reason, are trying to troll me to really watch something bad. Daniel, is this true? Are you guys trying to troll me to try and get me to watch really bad shit?
I can't speak for everyone. What I can say for me is that yes and no. Yes, because the quality of these films, it kind of plummet. Maybe the best word to use, it's like American Ninja is the standard. And then we hit one of those concrete curbs and flew through the windshield and just quickly start tumbling down the hill. Are they bad movies? Hell no. But like, I think my post on Facebook said it all. This is the point where we separate the men from the boys. And I think that's about it. So, I mean, if you wanted to be, do you want to take some kind of warning or foreboding with that? Maybe so. I love them. But, yeah.
I think you're really overselling this. This is not like we're watching Puppet Master The Legacy here.
Thank God we're not.
Yeah.
Michael Dudikoff and David Bradley protect us, and we will not have to do that again.
Oh, man. Well, without further ado, before Scott Davis falls asleep.
No. I'm just sitting there like thinking like, yeah, it's not, at least it's not
Vice
Howling
Academy 1 through 6.
I was thinking at least it's not Howling, at least it's not Puppet Master the Legacy, but I'm like, still, yeah, I would have taken a Vice Academy. I would have been fine. Oh yeah. Killing the room.
Can we give him the boot?
This is where I mute his microphone for the rest of the episode.
Can we give him the boot?
I can't believe that's a reality in any way, shape, or form.
You remind me of my first boss, who used to just turn to my second boss and used to say, "Are we allowed to hit him?"
And speaking of hitting, folks, let's get on with the pageantry that is.
Oh yeah,
American Ninja 3 Blood Hunt, that was made in 1989.
Strikes! to strike out while you still can. Strike out, there'll be no second chance. Even as we love, the cobra strikes. Go to the mirror, take a look into your eyes. Can you see it? The fear that keeps you paralyzed. You're afraid to make a move, but you feel it in your soul that something out there is taking your control. The longer you delay, the stronger its might. And while you turn away, the cobra strikes. Strike out against the foe. Strike out even though you know the price you pay may be your life. You've got to strike out while you still can. Strike out, there'll be no second chance. Even as we love, the cobra strikes.
Now, American Ninja 3 Blood Hunt, we see Duty is gone. He didn't come back for this movie. And who we have in his place is David Bradley. And you guys in Astro Radio Z-Land may know him from our Cops episode as the guy that starred in Cyborg Cop 1 and 2.
Yes.
He has taken over for Duty this time. And him and Steve James are about to kick a whole lot of ninja ass. Now, the synopsis of this film, directed by Cedric Sundstrom, is as follows. Jackson is back, and now he has a new partner, karate champion Sean, as they face a deadly terrorist known as the Cobra, who has infected Sean with the virus. Sean and Jackson have no choice but to fight the Cobra and his bands of ninjas. Now, that synopsis kind of leaves out the fact that he doesn't get infected with the virus until the last like 20 minutes of this movie. And the first hour and 10 minutes of this movie is essentially just a rehashing of the first two films. All of the one thing that you'll need to get used to, folks, when you're watching American Ninja films is that every single one is the same exact fucking movie. Almost. Well, I take that back. When we get to number 4, there's a little bit of a difference because it's ripping off 2 other movies for that one, but let's wait for that. This movie starts off with almost in kickboxer style. If you've ever seen the Jean-Claude Van Damme classic Kickboxer, we have a tournament, a karate tournament where people are in a squared circle getting the shit kicked out of them. And we have a bunch of really horrible kid actors in the crowd clapping their asses off, and for some reason they're overdubbed really poorly, but one of them is Sean and his buddy, and they're cheering on, waiting for Sean's dad to come out because he has a big match that night. Now, side plot of this intro is there's a group of goons that come in to rob the bookie office at this tournament. And one of these goons, I love this group of goons in this movie that started off. We have a dude that looks like a 70-year-old Italian guy that was a reject from The Godfather. We have one dude that can't for his fucking life figure out how to use a butterfly blade whatsoever. He takes it out and whips it around, and it just looks like, holy shit, I didn't practice this before he did this take. He goes to cut a mute guard, and then for some reason all these guys have fully automatic pistols that they're shooting. It was fucking hilarious. So they go and they rob this bookie audience, and of course they accidentally take Sean's dad hostage and kill him, and that is the motivation for our lead character through the rest of the film. I can only bet, and I hope you guys, I trust you enough that you can figure out exactly where this fucking movie is gonna go after this. So let's start with this beginning sequence with the little kids, the bad overdubbing, and the dude that has no idea how to use a butterfly blade. Seth, what did you think of this opening sequence?
I think you just nailed my notes for this entire opening sequence. The overdubbing started out, just cracked me up. Yay, go! Come on, Dad, go! Who's doing these voices? Who ever heard a kid talk like this? And then the butterfly knife. Why is he even butterfly knifing? Why didn't he just kill the guy instead of he handles him like nunchucks? Lucky he didn't cut his damn finger off. And how lucrative were karate tournaments in the 80s that they're getting held up by gangs? Like, was karate ever that big? How much money could this thing have made? There's like 4 dozen people in the crowds. What are they getting? $500?
$30 max.
Yeah, amazing opening scene. Just baffled me though on every level.
It was something else. Let me tell you,
so
it
much fun.
definitely gave me flashbacks to fucking Kickboxer. Glenn, what did you think of this?
This movie, wow, yeah. It definitely shows its age. It feels so goddamn 80s. Just everything about, I mean, I'm watching this and I'm making up my own story that's going on because, like, I mean, Cobra, dude, that's Larry Bird. And his partner, Captain Steubing. And I'm sorry, but Sean, I mean, come on. That's Derek Zoolander. The dude is doing Blue Steel the whole movie.
He is. You're right about that.
Yeah. So I mean, Blue Steel, Fred from Scooby Doo, and Apollo Creed are going to take down Larry Bird and Captain Steubing. That's what's going on, which is, in my mind, a better movie than this was. I still had fun with it, but I watched it once regular. And I'm like, okay. But I watched it a second time just to see if I missed anything. And the second I watched it at 1.5 times speed, it was still fucking slow. There's some cool stuff that happens, but the thing is that it's a long time in between any cool shit happens.
Well, I think a lot of that can be attributed to that we've kind of seen this movie already twice before.
Yes. And I think also in a lot of ways, the more I go back and watch a lot of 80s action movies and action-y type movies, yeah, there's not a lot of action in a lot of action movies back then. There's just, yeah, no. I mean, compared to the first two, this one is like, for me, it was like a giant step down. Yeah.
See, for some reason, and I found this out probably about like 20 minutes into this movie, where all of the sudden, we flash forward to Sean in the future, played by David Bradley.
Wow.
And his fight scenes were better than any of the fight scenes that were in the previous two movies.
They were.
I started going, holy shit, do I like David Bradley better than Duty? Is this really happening right now? I mean, I want to hear opinions on this. Scott, you obviously have opinions.
Well, God, maybe I got to re-examine the fight scenes or something. But okay, now the fourth movie is going to be another story.
Yeah, completely.
But just focusing on number 3 right now. David Bradley, first of all, I remember, I don't know when I first saw the ad for this movie. I'm like, oh shit, they did an American Ninja 3. And I immediately saw the poster and went, who the hell is this guy? I'm like, who took away my Dudikoff? And I was like, oh boy, okay, I'm going to still watch it. Who am I kidding? And I, of course, watched it as soon as it came on DVD or video. Oh my fucking VHS, sorry. Time traveled there. And of course, the guy came on screen. I'm like, again, I was like, who the hell is this guy? And I was watching this movie again, like knowing full well and actually appreciating David Bradley in movies like Cyborg Cop, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this, I'm like thinking, who the hell is this guy? Because in this movie, American Ninja 3, maybe I need to re-examine the fight scenes. I don't know. But I wasn't more impressed by the fight scenes. And the guy, I thought he had zero charisma.
Oh, man, I don't agree at all.
He didn't do anything in this movie. He had no personality whatsoever. He barely spoke, which is something that'll be reversed in the next movie, incidentally. He barely spoke, and when he did, you didn't care. So I was just kind of like, no, he just doesn't have any. He just doesn't bring it in this movie, which is too bad because immediately, 'cause even though I was saying, who the hell is this guy? Even at I was a B movie fan from way back, so I just looked at that. I first thought was, who the hell is this guy? And the second thought was, Cannon. Just knowing that Cannon would totally do something like this and pull a switcheroo and say, okay, we have to get somebody new. He said no. And that's what happened this time. And no, I'm sorry. I didn't think David Bradley, he just didn't bring it. He just didn't bring it to this movie. I'm sorry.
Well, this is why I think I like him better, because honestly, especially not to jump the gun and go to number 4, is that they're virtually interchangeable. There's really no difference between the two of them. I mean, Duty was not. Oh, let me finish. Duty was not an action guy whatsoever.
No, he never was. He was a comedic actor.
David Bradley actually knows martial arts.
Exactly. So his fight scenes aren't just cut fests. They are cut up. He's allowed to actually have choreography and actually have fights.
Okay, I'm researching. While you talk, I'm going to research.
The fight scenes
See how much martial arts did David Bradley know going into American Ninja? I think that they actually knew an equal amount, honestly.
Well, Dudikoff didn't know any going into the first.
He didn't know any. And I don't think David Bradley did either. Did he?
He must have had a basic knowledge because it's much.
He's a former karate champion.
Is he really?
Ding 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 ding.
Trained in karate, Shotokan, Kempo, Tai Chi, and Aikido.
Okay, you know what?
Theory on this.
I admit, I can admit when I'm wrong. Then I'm surprised, but I didn't think he brought any. I didn't think he brought any charisma to the role, but I will completely admit when I am wrong.
Well, there's a difference between karate skills and charisma.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with that totally, Glenn.
He does not have Duty's hair.
Well, that is true. He kind of has like a big bowl on his head with just fucking hair. But there's a difference when you're dealing with in film, when you're dealing with somebody that actually knows martial arts, and you're trying to make someone look like they know martial arts. And visually, what that is that, and you can always tell the difference between American action films and Asian action films, because Asian action films, at least old school ones, used to allow. What are you laughing about, Scott?
I'm sorry. I was looking at. I was doing. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to hijack. I was doing research while you were saying this, so I could find out. And has anybody looked at David Bradley's Wikipedia page? Under personal life, this is why Wikipedia, why the editing things of it. It says, and I quote, and to prove myself wrong, David Bradley is trained in Shotokan Karate, Black Belt, Kempo, Tai Chi, and Aikido. He retired from acting to join the circus for his ability of one-hand juggling and for his superpower of eating muffins.
Well, the case closed then.
I swear to God, that is what his Wikipedia page says.
It's okay then. Thank you for the facts.
I'm glad that knowledge came out that David Bradley has a superpower of eating muffins.
I did not mean to interrupt.
I also have superpower for eating muff. But we're not on Astro.
I did not mean to interrupt or anything like that. But I'm like reading this, researching. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm sorry.
I have a superpower of juggling with one hand.
I apologize.
Mark has a superpower for juggling balls.
With one hand.
While the other one's tightly on the shaft.
What else are you gonna do with it?
Okay, anyways, what the point I was trying to make is that when you're shooting with people that actually know martial arts, you can have wide master shots where people actually fight each other. And it looks good because they know how to deliver punches and how to choreograph that in a way that it looks genuine. And when you're dealing with somebody that has no idea how to do that, you have to fake it with editing and camera angles. And the difference between this film and the previous two films is obvious. It's in the editing. His action scenes and his fights breathe. You can tell he's comfortable doing this shit and can do more than a punch or a kick here. So that's why, for me, action movies that are martial arts films where there's people that are actually like attempting to do roundhouse kicks and all this other shit, when you can see what's going on and there's not this frantic energy of editing going in the action scenes, I tend to enjoy them more because there's artistry. It's like a dance. There's artistry to it, where most action films now just like drive me fucking nuts. It's like the Lord of the Rings syndrome, where all the fights are like 1 second cuts and you have no fucking idea what's going on. So Daniel, we haven't talked to you. You're the American Ninja super fan here. What did you think the Duty versus Bradley debate that we're having here?
Well, this is a joining of the two halves. This is yin and yang. We have the biography of Michael Dudikoff. We've already been through the
I like how you're still trying to convince us that these are actual biographies. These aren't narrative fiction in any way.
Just listen now. We've had 2 movies of the nativity of Michael Dudikoff, and we've learned his story. Well, he has to stay and save the U.S. because apparently the ninja threat has not subsided. I mean, we have NES games to tell us about that. I mean, you can go and pick your poison and enjoy it. World Heroes, Bad Dudes. I mean, what do you want to play? Target Renegade? Okay, so Michael Dudikoff has to handle that. Well, we need a protege. The world is not safe. We need someone else. Before he became cybernetically enhanced and decided to go into law enforcement, David Bradley has now joined in the fight. So what we're seeing is the nativity of David Bradley as a kid. At very unfortunate times, some people would laugh and call it Kickboxer mixed with Beverly Hills Cop 2. Thankfully, we didn't have Eddie Murphy, with a anything like that. We just got the unfortunate thing of, people getting killed and whatnot. The fight sequences, I will say this, and I actually did make a note of this because whatever you want to say about the movie, I will say this with the fight sequences. I see what they wanted to do. The main thing, and I think this is the problem, just to bring Steve James into this too, the problem with him and with David Bradley, they didn't have enough time to get familiar with it. And the other problem is they were having to hold back. That was what I got. Like if you watch American Ninja 3 and watch those fight sequences, they're cool, but you can see that they're not giving everything in the fight. And I think that's because they didn't want to kill the ninjas that they were fighting. If you watch, they have to hold, you can see them, especially Steve James when he's wielding a sword. But David Bradley, most of his kicks, like you can see with his kicks that he can go high with his kick, but you can tell the angle that he's not really hitting him. However, as soon as he goes for punches or grabs and stuff, you can see him hesitate slightly. I think he has to hold back. So that's one problem, I think, that they had with the fighting sequences. But ultimately, hey, he's an actual martial artist, which is something that we can actually have. Michael Dudikoff is just the manliness. Okay, so now we have to have somebody else with the training. When these two people meet, y'all motherfuckers watch out. Okay,
let's not jump the gun and talk about what a bait and fucking switch the fourth one is.
Yes. But we still got to get lousy with some ninjas. And I'm glad that the world had David Bradley. The world needed David Bradley, and he was there for the world. And I'm glad.
So, speaking of which, so we go from this opening sequence where Sean then, of course, trains to become a ninja by a dude with this ridiculously huge goatee in a training sequence not unlike the montage in Bloodsport, where he becomes David Bradley and a ninja. Now, Scott, you have opinions about this huge goatee. Let's talk about this huge fake goatee that the dude that trains David Bradley has.
The thing that what amazed me about this is that, okay, I was watching this movie and I realized that it was like about, God, more than 20 years since I had seen this movie. And I remember watching it back then, and even then I remembered that beard was out of control. And I remembered that. The thing was that I remembered them immediately going ahead and showing the transition in time to 15 years or 20 years or however long it is from when the time there's a little American Ninja to the time there's a big American Ninja, David Bradley. At the beginning, it just says 1 year. And he grows this gigantic goatee, which is obviously just glued on in this time period. And then thank God they have the presence of mind to just keep the goatee for as long as they have it. But it would have been easier for them to, instead of showing him older and gluing the goatee onto it, it would have been easier to actually show him in quick cutaways as he was younger and then cut to an older actor. They didn't have the presence of mind to do that. They instead glued this thing, which was, and I'm talking about something where if you saw this in a community theater production of something, you would say, wow, okay, your guy called in sick, didn't he? I mean, it's a really bad beard. Please, somebody, come on. Somebody please get my back on this. This is a bad beard.
It's a canon movie.
Yeah, I was just going
this.
You think they're going to pay a second actor when they can slap a 50-cent goatee on this guy?
I'm just saying that why not get do it in cutaways as a younger act, in the younger crowd, just give him a bad wig in the younger thing, since we see
because then you bitch about the bad wig.
Because we see 20 seconds of him in the bad wig when he would be younger. Here we're stuck with him for the whole freaking movie with this bad beard.
I'm far more concerned with a scene that comes in later, because eventually what ends up happening is David Bradley, of course, goes to an island for a fight tournament so that the Cobra, who's the big bad in this movie, I mean, there's always some white dude that has a ninja training facility on his premises that is looking to get superhuman ninjas for some unknown reason, for world domination. Anyways, he is hosting a fight tournament in order to find people to turn into superhuman ninjas. And this karate championship, for some reason, David Bradley is there as an ambassador for the Americans. And he meets Steve James. And then they meet another dude. And while they're out trying to scam for chicks at some diner, he notices that his ninja master is kidnapped. So he goes after him. And the scene I wanted to talk about is he follows him and finds out, I mean, we're not going to talk about the switcheroo yet, but he finds out that the bad guys are keeping his ninja master captive in a 14-year-old girl's bedroom. For some unknown reason. I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Why is the guy with the really shitty goatee hanging out in a 14-year-old girl's bedroom? So I think this is more of an indication of the fact that they really didn't have much to work with in this movie. I mean, let's talk about just the ridiculousness of some of the stupid padding in this movie. There's a lot of running around. There's not much for plot. There's not much for character development. The relationship between David Bradley and Steve James is flimsy at best. There's an entire sequence in this fucking movie where they have to use motorized gliders to try and infiltrate this fucking compound. And all it is a bunch of fucking stuntmen or stock guys wrapped up in VO. I mean, this could have just all been stock footage. We don't fucking know. This whole fucking movie is literally people running around doing nothing. There's an underwater fight scene with stock footage of sharks. I mean, Jesus Christ, there's a lot of malarkey in this motherfucker. Dan, what did you think about the vast majority of this movie being padding sequences that literally didn't like add anything to the movie?
I hope you like piano. And I hope you, when I say I hope you like piano scores, I hope you like 1 6-second little ditty of him running up and then down the keyboard. So in other words, let me see, because I could do it for you, and it's going to be the same impact as you're going to hear in this goddamn movie 30 million times. And the underscore was cool because I'm a synth nut. So that underscore was really awesome. But that fucking piano lick, I swear to God, I was reading because I actually looked it up, and it was something about the American Ninja 3 didn't even have a composer. They ripped the, or if it did, they didn't have much of one. They ripped just like one little sound sample from Opposing Force and just looped it over and over in this film. So that right there just kind of kicked me in the groin as far as, you know, so if there's no music, then why do I care? So I'm still going to watch it. And then we get all the running and all the looking, and then the stopping and the running, and then the sighing, and then Steve James being like, ninjas. I mean, we're done with the whole secret art of assassination that he's explained to us in the first 2 movies. Now it's just ninjas gone. And then we ride ultralights with the VO segments. And then we hear the piano lick again. And then they fight. And then they run. And then we'll hear the piano lick. And then they'll fight a little bit more. And then you know the fight's over whenever you hear the low synth kick in. So it'll be like, and then the fight's over. And then you know they're going to sneak because you'll hear the hi-hat kick in, the like that. And then they'll walk around a little bit, and then somebody will jump out and be like, ha ha. And they'll be like, I've seen this in my, and I can't tell where my imagination is ending in the movie's beginning, but that's about it.
This movie, I love that. Let's bring up Steve James. Let's talk about his role in this movie a little bit, because like you said, Steve James just is kind of like thrust into this because he was in the other movies, and his role again is just to be the sidekick that once ninjas show up, and he doesn't know Sean for shit from anybody, and Sean explains when his master gets kidnapped and put into that 14-year-old girl's bedroom that all of a sudden David Bradley goes,
look, I have a master, Izumo. He raised me since my father's killing. No way of ninja.
You're a ninja?
Yes.
So that explains a few things.
By this point, the scripts were openly. Steve James's dialogue in this movie is openly is an open commentary on. Can you believe how fucking ridiculous these movies are? I mean, even towards the end, he's like, "Why does it always have to be ninjas?"
Oh my God, that was so funny.
He's constantly I mean, he is the voice of the audience in this movie, which I love. Steve James is the MVP 3rd time running.
After he finds out that there's a master and there's ninjas, they're chasing him. They just go down the street. Of course, they run after him, and down the street is ninjas a fight, and he goes,
Well, got no choice.
So
Another day of fighting ninjas for fucking Steve James. In every single fucking scene he's in, it takes him all of 30 seconds to take his shirt off. I don't think he has his shirt on in this movie for more than 5 fucking seconds.
Which is too bad because the first shirt he shows up in is amazing.
Yeah.
We're laughing at that.
Fucking love it. Glenn, do you think Steve James was totally just wasted in this movie?
Of course. He's wasted in every movie. They never utilize him to his full potential. They come close. Why is anyone in this movie? It didn't. I mean, take out the padding, and yeah, it's. I mean, let's just skip to back to 2. Can we do that?
Well, the bad thing about Steve James in this movie, besides the fact that all he is just like a one-liner machine, and the one-liners are fucking ridiculously overdone at that. But he is basically relegated to the buddy character. But most of the movie, he's buddied up with an even lesser side character.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not even buddied up with fucking Sean or David Bradley the entire movie. He's buddied up with some dude that just unceremoniously gets offed toward the end of the movie. So he's just like the entire fucking series of American Ninja. He is just some background nonsense. It's so fucking disappointing. So anyways, not to just make this I'm crying because Steve James is wasted yet again. So the boys have to try and make their way into the Cobra's lair to get his master. And they infiltrate it with, as we had said before, this ridiculous scene with motorized gliders and a bunch of other fucking nonsense. And of course, we get to the compound, and what color are the ninjas that are guarding? They're not black. It's at nighttime. You'd think they would be black. No, they're neon blue. Guarding this place, which is basically the blood sport set from the last movie, just been upgraded. Now it's ninjas and karate dudes, and the big bad that's leading them is a female version of Vinnie Vincent, who is a double-crossing secret agent who's trying to take the Cobra down. The rest of this movie is just a bunch of fucking stupid nonsense where there's people being clumsily thrown downstairs. Steve James calls the Vinnie Vincent female a ninjet. It's just fucking stupidity. Seth, once we get to this fucking complex and it's just all out ninja hijinks, what are your thoughts?
I don't know how anybody did not see these gliders coming. Like, this is a secret compound guarded on all sides by God knows how many ninjas and security guards, and nobody sees a fucking glider coming over the fence. Man, I appreciated the scene where it kind of starts on the outskirts within the building, like the outskirts of the building. It's like an office setting, and we get like really shitty ninjas there guarding fax machines. And the more powerful ninjas are towards the center in the arena, Bloodsport arena, until you get to the Cobra in the dead center of the building, the complex with the science lab. I don't know. I just like the office ninjas that are guarding reams of paper and ink. It's complete ludicrous nonsense. Steve James is wielding swords and doesn't have a fucking clue what to do with them. The sidekick guy that is being babysat by Steve James is just in the way of everything. I love it. It's ridiculous.
I love how not Remo Williams is he's infected yet he's not. Oh, I'm sorry, David Bradley. How he's infected yet he's not. I was trying to figure out, the virus that he had and why he was chosen. And I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, no, he's a little ill. No, wait, no, now he's not. Now he's fighting fine. No, wait, now he's ill. And so we get into this final sequence. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And it makes me wonder, in the American Ninja world, is there like wholesale ninja? Like there's one company farming out all these ninjas that are like, oh, we lost these guys in the first American Ninja. Well, no, we still got this stable of guys. We'll send those out to you. It's like the same freaking ninjas.
Yeah, they go to budgetninja.com.
Yeah.
And they go there on Black Friday because you get the best deals on ninjas. And for some reason, blue ninjas were really dirt cheap at that time.
They were.
So they ordered 100 blue ninjas and they got them shipped Amazon Prime, free shipping all the way to the Cobra's compound.
Well, it's either that or it's the fact that it's the same like massive group of ninjas and they're just traveling ninjas to the next bad guy, kind of like minions.
It's like roadies.
They have a talent, they need to use it.
Well, what's amazing is that, of course, now I'd read this somewhere, so don't, if it turns out to be wrong, you can just point at me and laugh. But
Anyway.
But yeah, true. But of course, the whole idea of ninjas being clad in black and everything like that, that's just actually a misnomer. It comes from the kabuki theater, where they would have people clad in black who were there to, move sets around and stuff like that. And that was where that came from. And ninjas didn't look anything like that. But here's the thing is that still, we have an idea that ninjas are supposed to be clad in black so that they could blend into the night. And then, of course, we see things like G.I. Joe, Storm Shadow, but obviously meant to blend into the snow, where he's going to, blend in. When it got into, red and blue and yellow ninja, and this is what I'm going to always think about when I think about the American Ninja movies, is I will think about the multicolored ninja, is that was what it was. And you kind of look at it, you shake your head, you say, man, can you believe how goofy this is? And of course, almost on a dare, Joseph Lai and Godfrey Ho come up with ninja bandanas and everything like that in their movies, and that's a whole other ball of wax.
Yeah.
But no, I think that if I was to watch an American Ninja movie and it didn't have primary color ninjas, I would leave disappointed.
Well, these ninjas in general, not even just their color, they are just. We aren't dealing with ninjas anymore that are the masters of stealth and assassination. Let's list off some of the traits that they have in this movie. Every single time they jump into a fight, they scream announce themselves. They drive cars in this movie. We learn that female ninjas are the masters of impersonation and can change into different people like Darkman.
Including voices.
2 different voices.
I'm gonna hit on that later because that's, to me, one of the cool things about American Ninja is the use of that is the ninja magic. It's like just the same way that I was intrigued with Puppet Master, how they flirt with the magic and stuff. That's the same way with American Ninja. In every single movie, we get some little 3-5 second little hint, and it's whenever like she uses the disguises and stuff, which I thought was kind of clever, the way that they edited it to make it look like, it was a different actor, but then, she peels the face off. So that was cool. But then eventually was it David Bradley's season? He's like, Kobayashi, or whatever the fuck he says, like Japanese. In other words, it's like ninja magic. And I was like, holy fuck. Just like part 1, whenever old dude disappeared and Laser Ninja shot him. And then part 2, it's like they contort their fingers and then they do the ninja magic. I love
how much of a pop you get out of that. That is just so fucking awesome to me. Is that all they got to do is say that whatever fucking bullshit Japanese, and all of a sudden Dan's like, I'm fucking in.
That's part of the why I liked it, is that it's so much. The movie is so mundane, and yet they do that one little hint. And I mean, all it takes is one word, and you have already implanted that suggestion into everyone watching the movie. And so that anyone following it, their world has just opened up. Now the American Ninja has magic. Plus, again,
so he turns into a ninja after this nonsense. And what does he do? He shoots a dude with a pop gun.
Hell yeah. I mean, no, yeah.
I mean, they build up this stuff, and I totally get where you're coming from, because I also like, there's something about, you know, the romanticism of some of this stuff that I really dig, and I could let go of the ridiculousness. But then it just shits the entire bed. This sounds like I'm hating on this movie. I really liked watching this movie, but let's be honest, when we talk about this, there's some stupid shit in here. I mean, we just said Sean, you know, he's fighting this virus. He's been kidnapped, and they're trying to find the antidote because the B team shows up in order to rescue him with Steve James and the lesser fucking side character. So Steve James is going into this place. He hits a dude in the dick with an AK-47 and takes out a big sword that turns into two, which I thought was actually one of the coolest shots in the entire movie when he takes that sword and turns it into two swords.
It's like, on the poster.
Yeah, the way they show him and they do it and they blocked it, I'm like, fuck, that's badass. That's awesome. And then what ends up happening, he barely knows how to swing the fucking swords. They just kind of run into him and blah, 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 blah. So eventually, Steve James kicks this lesser minion's ass and gets the antidote and catches up with Sean. But Sean, for some reason, has to fight a group of nude dudes that are superhuman ninjas.
That's right, mutant ninjas.
The mutant ninjas that all of a sudden the nude dudes turn into red ninjas. And Sean gets blinded by a white light, getting his ninja mojo shit back. And it culminates into literally one of the worst final battles I've ever seen in a movie. It's just awful. This is a terrible final sequence.
This so cool. Mutants, ninja, Matt, this is a fucking video game. This is everything that we have played since we were little kids. I'm serious, dude. You just walk around into a compound, and what do they have guard? Just random ninjas. It's like Wrath of the Black Manta. Who do they have guarding the compound? Oh, just random ninjas. Why? Who the fuck cares? It's the 80s, man. It's like bad dudes. Ninjas have kidnapped the president. Are you a bad enough dude to rescue him? You know, that's the only story I need. That's the same with American Ninja. This dude that go into a compound that's guarded by rent a ninjas, and they fight him. The closer they get, the tougher the ninjas get. It's like when they start on the outskirts, yeah, they're blue, but then they turn red, and then they turn yellow, and then they get stronger, and then the more you beat them up, the colors change. And then he eventually does. You remember in the first American Ninja how they caught the arrow and then rolled and then tossed the arrow into the shield?
Yeah.
Well, see, he does that in this film to kill a dude. He kills two ninjas with two hands. Mr. Cyborg Cop, David Bradley, before he becomes Cyborg Cop, shows you how it's done. And
dude, I popped big when he caught those fucking arrows and literally throws them at the fucking ninjas and they get killed.
And then what does he do at the end? He fights mutant ninjas. They were dudes standing there, but then they've been mutant enhanced, and then they come alive. And then they cast ninja magic, and they're red ninjas. And he has to fight 4 red ninja bosses. I mean, dude, we are watching a video game. Ninja magic.
Yeah.
Ninja magic. Holy shit. Where's my aspirin?
I think I said that very thing when I was watching the movie.
Dude broke it down. Yeah.
Dude, I gotta say, even though I'm complaining a lot, all of this shit made me smile, made me laugh. I had a great time watching this. These movies, even with how this movie literally had no plot. It was a series of scenes of people running in one direction. This is like the American Ninja version of Fury Road, where it's just a bunch of dudes running to one destination. The entire fucking movie. I still had a lot of fun with it because it's the kind of brainless, not canon nonsense that we've all come to kind of love as shitty action fans. So, last thing I want to talk about before we give final thoughts is perhaps the greatest final song on an end credits I've ever come across. The Cobra Strikes. Now, I want to hear Seth Powell talk about how hard he popped when you heard this fucking song.
I've heard this song like 100 times before. Had no idea it was from this movie. I popped the Blu-ray in, and the menu starts playing. And
wait! This is on Blu-ray?
Oh yeah, it's someone put it out in the UK. I think that,
shit, I'm going to fucking Amazon right now.
I think it's on in America too.
No, not quite. I don't think it's America yet.
Someone put out at least the first one in America.
Yeah.
But 1 through 4 on Blu-ray from 88 Films, because that's how I've watched them. They look pretty good. Anyway, Menu's
there they
playing.
are. Awesome.
Menu's playing. The Cobra Strike song comes on, and I fucking mark out. I am so amped. And I'm just watching the movie, and I'm like, oh man, it's coming. And they introduce the Cobra character. I'm like, oh, there he is. He's gonna be some badass ninja hiding in some old guy suit, So he gets done kicking the mutant ninjas' asses, and then it's like the Cobra's got him. They're like 1-on-1, and the Cobra just fucking sucks.
Oh man,
he's just like an old guy. He's like an old guy. I was expecting him to pull out some like mystical ninja kung fu shit.
I have opinions about that.
He doesn't do anything. And to make it worse, the song isn't even playing. And then Steve James, comes in and rescues him. They have like the little antidote thing and fucking arm around the shoulder, closing shot, and the credits hit, and then the song plays. And I'm just like, man, this is some bullshit. I've never been so dissatisfied with hearing that song. Why didn't that song play 2 minutes earlier? Man, I mean, I still love the song, and the ending is really dissatisfying because I thought the whole movie was a lot of fun. Man, that song would have been fucking sweet over a badass closing battle.
That was far more fucking epic than I fucking was expecting.
For real, dude.
I feel that. That was some real shit right there.
Got me worked up, man.
That's the man.
So, Scott, what were you talking about? Your opinions on the Cobra?
My opinion is based on the guy who plays him. This guy, now, when he comes on screen, he's very subdued, and he's a businessman, and he has some really awful, sleazy, cheesy lounge lizard erotic wall art, and he's just very subdued. And it shouldn't be like that, because this dude is played by Marjo Gortner. Guys, do you know about this guy? This guy is amazing. This guy started show business career at 4 years old by his abusive parents, who were part of the evangelical Pentecostal circuit of preachers who used to tell people like about faith healers and shit. And he was primed as the world's youngest ordained evangelist. Jesus. There are like records of this guy. I'm here. Hi, my name's Marjo Gortner. I'm here to give the devil 2 black eyes. And he would introduce himself, and he was like 6 years old into town. He was primed as this and was beaten by his parents, was abused by his parents while he was taught to be this person who would swindle people for their money. Get this. Get what this guy did. He then went off on his own after he got away from his folks. And then it appeared like he's coming back into the fold. He's going to preach the word. He's going to all the Pentecostal things. And he has a lot of love for it still. But in truth, he was, getting to know himself. He was smoking dope. He was getting to know the world. He was getting to have a bigger outlook on life, spiritual healing, that kind of shit. And he brought a documentary crew with him. And he says, this is going to be my documentary about how I'm coming back and I'm faith healing and I'm meeting with all these people and everything. And what he did instead is he used it to expose all of these faith healers and evangelists as the hucksters and carnival tent swindlers that they were, showing him counting the money and showing his conflict between part of him that still had a little bit of faith and his absolute disgust with the abuse he had faced and how he knew it was a sham. And he released it as a documentary called Marjo in the 1970s that won the Academy Award for Best Documentary. And it is the most amazing fucking thing you've ever seen in your life. And then he went on and became a really bad actor.
Yeah, he has tons of B movie credits.
Yeah, in like films like Earthquake, Star Crash, films like that.
Mausoleum.
Mausoleum. Oh, amazing Mausoleum. I love that movie. And, films like that where he said, okay, well, I know show business. I guess I'll be an actor. And he was in an actor movie. The thing about this that I think they ruined a really good opportunity is that he's called the Cobra, and he's this very subdued person. And he should be preaching. He should be like, I'm gonna take the ninja magic out of you. And he should be all of that, but he's not. But man, seriously, look this dude up. This guy is fat. Say what you will about his acting talent. This guy is fascinating as hell, what he did. So I was really stoked. I'm like, yes, another Marjoe Gortner film. And then it came up and I'm like, oh.
I just knew there's nothing. I mean, his character's barely in this movie.
He's barely in the movie, and it's like, I mean, come on. If you have, and it even says special appearance by Marjoe Gortner, but even though he's in the movie a lot. I mean, think about this. If you could say, and Marjoe Gortner as the Cobra, good God. That's B-movie gold right there.
Yeah, and he's got his own fucking theme song.
Yes, that's a great theme song too. They squander it. They totally squander it. But not a great fan of the performance. Not a great fan of what they did with the character. Big fan of the dude. Big fan of the dude.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, folks, let's go ahead and let's wrap this on now. Let's give final thoughts to American Ninja 3 Blood Hunt. Mark the Movie Man, what were your final thoughts?
As the series goes, you missed the Dudikoff, but it was appreciated that there was talent there that David Bradley was showing in some of the fight choreography. You could definitely tell the fight scenes were handled differently. As far as the story goes, though, I didn't think they could get more wafer thin from, number 2 and number 1, but holy crap, they did. I'm like, wow, this all seems really familiar, but it's not nearly as deep as, and that's saying something. But you get to see Steve James, but yeah, he is, he's more of sidekick now, James. For where it sits in the series and the one we're going to talk about next, it's watchable. It's definitely not, especially if you've made it past the first 2 films, this one's definitely watchable. You just miss Dudikoff because of those steely blue eyes.
Well, that sounds like boner jams for Mark the Movie Man. He was missing out on his boner jams from the duty. So, Glenn, final thoughts.
American Ninja 3, much like the multicolored ninjas in the movie, is a bag of Jolly Ranchers. Sure, you can eat them. You might actually like them a little bit, but there's a lot of better stuff out there that you could have that doesn't get stuck in your teeth. And this one is just hard to chew, man. It really is. There's so much nothing in this movie. Even the fact that you do get some better fights a little bit with Zoolander than you do with the dude. It's not worth it in the end.
Did anyone ever tell you, Glenn, that you're not supposed to chew Jolly Ranchers?
Fucking America, dude. I can chew whatever I want.
Good answer.
I didn't realize this was Communist Ninja 3 that we were checking out here.
This is America, damn it. I'll chew them if I want. So, Daniel, final thoughts.
Oh, man, this is just this. All right. Truthfully, it's obviously not as good as the first 2, but I mean, that's like saying a cheese pizza is not as good as a 3-meat pizza. It's still pizza and it's still fucking good. It's just the movie's got a lot going for it. I mean, despite the low budget, I mean, we can see the pacing just like a video game. 80s synthy-ish type styled underscore when it plays, and all that stupid piano, check. Humor, check. Martial arts, check. Ninjas, check. Gunfights, check. Mutants, check. Mutant ninjas, check. Magic, check. Evil company that wants to take over the world via terrorism using mutant ninjas, check. Ninja versus the army battle in the parking lot at the end, check. And a cheesy ending credit song that's bad as fuck, check. Seriously, what more can I say? The movie was great.
Checks.
That's it. Checks and balances, man. We're ninjas.
Seth.
If you've made it to American Ninja 3, it's because you enjoyed American Ninja 1 and 2. You're going to enjoy it. I don't see how you are a fan of the first two and watch this one and go, no, it's lacking. But even the lacking spots have silly shit going on. The underwater fight, I don't know if underwater kicks and punches would hurt, but it made for a cool scene. The gliders are silly as hell.
I don't know about you, Seth, but I had a flashback to Lucio Fulci Zombie for a second. I thought we were going to get a shark versus fucking David Bradley scene.
Hey, if it would have happened, man, this would have been some legendary shit. And it's not legendary, but it's still pretty fun. So I think as of now, it's my least favorite in the series, but it's still a good time.
I'm going to agree with you on this one. Scott?
No, I'm not going to do this. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm sorry. I think that Dan is absolutely right when he put, okay, it's cheese pizza, but it's still pizza. Okay, I can get that. And there are still parts that I enjoy. I like how goofy a lot of this stuff is. I really do. I'm not that dead inside quite yet.
But
this is not my
but
American
I am
Ninja.
dead inside.
But this is not my American Ninja. It's very obviously not thought through. It's just this really shameless attempt to keep it going for as much as possible. I mean, by that now we're in the waning years of canon. Golden Globus not even involved. It's now Harry Allen Towers that was producing, or as Tom Servo might say, Harry Allen Towers, and just a little reference there. Anyway, but it's just not up to snuff. I'm sorry. Everything about it seems like a really poor imitation. I could not stand the glider scene.
It goes on for fucking ever.
It goes on
voiceover.
It goes on forever, and it's just voiceover. And I just didn't have the sense of humor to stand by it this time. So I said, at the end of it, I said, almost, but I just can't. I just can't quite recommend it. I'm sorry. No. Give me a Vice Academy any day, man.
Yeah, you're just trolling at this point. That's some bullshit right there. Because I'll tell you, like Dan, I agree. This is pizza. I could watch this all day, any day, all day. Vape. This shit was hot. I loved it. I had a great time. Yeah, I bitched a lot about it. I made a lot of fun about it. But damn, I could watch shit like this all the time, and I'd be happy. Turn your brain off, watch some stupid ninjas, watch Steve James tear his shirt off within 5 seconds, and kick people in the face. That's all I fucking need. And it delivered. So, folks, that's American Ninja 3. Everybody agrees that it was amazing. So we're going to move on to American Ninja 4, The Annihilation, made in 1990.
We only have a few days before the media gets a hold of this. Then all hell will break loose.
Michael Dudikoff, David Bradley, together for the first time, American Ninja 4, The Annihilation. When the enemy is ruthless.
This is not a game. Those were ninja.
Merciless.
Cut the slime down like dogs, you understand?
And holds the world hostage.
It has enough power to blow New York off the face of the earth.
It takes more than courage.
I got a bad feeling about this, Sean.
You need the power of an American ninja.
If you can get us to the Dragon Fort, you may have a chance.
Twice the speed. Twice the skill. 4 times as deadly. Michael Dudikoff, David Bradley, American Ninja 4, The Annihilation.
Again, directed by Cedric Sundstrom, we attempt to reconcile all of the American ninjas now into one film. Unfortunately, we did not have Steve James in this one, but the pull and the gimmick to this one was Michael Dudikoff is back, and he's going to team up with David Bradley. Or is he? Well, the synopsis would tell you that this is about two American ninjas, Joe Armstrong and Sean Davidson, that team up to do battle against a terrorist and his band of ninjas. But I don't want to piss on your parade. What is the one thing I'm going to ask this question before we start into the breakdown, before we do anything? I'm going to ask this question of every one of my panelists right now. When you see the cover of this movie, you read the synopsis, what is the one thing you want in this movie, Seth Powlin?
I want to see Joe Armstrong, Sean Davidson back-to-back spin kicking the fuck out of some ninjas.
Okay, Daniel.
I want to see Joe Armstrong and Sean Davidson, whatever, back-to-back spin kicking the fuck out of some ninjas.
Glenn.
I want to see Joe Armstrong and Sean Davidson deflecting ninja lasers back into ninjas and cutting them in pieces. That's what I want.
Mark the movie man.
I want to see Joe Armstrong and Sean back-to-back kicking ninja ass for like 90 minutes.
Scott Davis.
I want to see Joe Armstrong and Sean Davidson back-to-back fighting ninjas, fighting Kithlu, shooting lasers, starting a dance tour, doing everything, but I want to see them working together for the whole movie and kicking ass.
Fuck yeah.
Yes.
And you want to see him doing it with Steve James.
Yes.
Yes. That would be amazing.
God.
But
yes.
Unfortunately, we don't have that. And unfortunately, not to piss on the parade, we don't have them fighting together at all in this fucking movie. We get one sequence toward the end where it is a switcheroo where somebody is dressed up like David Bradley fighting Dudikoff. And we find out it's not really him. So it's like evil bootleg David Bradley in a throwaway fight scene. And then they never are on screen together.
And that was the best scene in the whole movie, in my opinion.
I mean, just not to poo-poo all like right off the bat here, but the one thing this movie is selling you never happens. Never happens. This movie is literally like two movies that were mashed together and sold as something else. So when I watched this entire thing, which I mean, I'll say for what it is, it's a stupid action movie. I enjoyed it somewhat. But when you have Michael Dudikoff and David Bradley in the same movie and you show them on the goddamn cover with fucking katanas looking like they're going to fucking destroy everything and it never happens, you could go eat a bag of dicks because that is some fucking grade A bullshit. So, okay, let's move on. Let's go ahead and start talking about this movie. Now that I've already pissed on the entire parade, I mean, by the time this movie was done, and the last 10 minutes, when that knowledge sinks in, you're just like checking your watch the entire fucking time. When is this thing going to end? When is this thing going to end? And the only time they ever exchange dialogue is the last fucking shot when Duty just tells him,
Sean, you can find me at the school.
And that's it. That's the only fucking interaction they have in the whole goddamn movie.
And you're thinking like, okay, so is American Ninja 5 about him like checking him out at the school and like taking some classes?
I don't know, but let's before we get to the end of this movie, I just needed to get that out. I needed to get the real bullshit out because that is some grade A switcheroo bait and switch bullshit. It's some nonsense. You sell this thing as a team up of all the American ninjas and it never fucking happens. some nonsense. Anyways, so we start this movie off with a bunch of army dudes running around a fucking desert. And of course they encounter ninjas, and we find out finally something everyone on Earth knew already. Ninjas aren't good against bullets. They fucking die all over the place with these army dudes with the machine guns. And these army dudes end up coming across all these ninjas, and one of the ninjas is dressed up like a reject Banshee from X-Men. Let's talk about this opening sequence, which is essentially just a bunch of dudes running around and occasionally fighting ninjas. Mark, when this started, did you feel like we were in an American Ninja movie?
No, I was thinking we were in like another Deadly Prey film or something. The way it was, I did get I did enjoy the fact that, you know, they didn't actually have the ninjas completely dodging bullets constantly. That comes, I think that comes later in this, or was that in 3? Anyway, it's all a blur. But they didn't have the ninjas dodging all the bullets, but it does not open. This does not feel like an American Ninja opening because, yeah, we don't see Duty. You know, it's like, well, where is he? And then Sean, for some reason, in between all these action sequences of guys running around and AC ninjas until they make a dumb mistake, suddenly we find out that Sean is in the military.
Thank you.
just like, wait, he was just a karate champion, but somehow he's in special forces with some random guy we've never met getting married, and you're like, I should know who these people are, but I don't.
Let's talk about this wedding sequence where Sean is with his buddy Carl, who is his partner, and Carl is getting married, and Sean, who's standing up as his best man, is getting calls from the army because and the army wants him to quickly go to a meeting that easily could have waited an hour or two. It needed to happen right then, and Carl and Sean leave this wedding. Carl's about to get married. Let me tell you, Carl is not going to have a good marriage. It's just not in the cards for him. I mean, I was watching this going, are they seriously going to leave this wedding? Oh, there they go. And they go to a scene where it's just a bunch of dudes having coffee, kind of lightly talking about some shit they could have talked about in the next day. Armies are fucking heels. That army could go fucking take a long hike off a short fucking pier because they're dicks. That was real fucking dick move there. Dan, what'd you think of this dick move by the army?
I gotta admire the dude's dedication. This guy has forsaken his wedding to be in this film. And I mean, that's dedication, man. Hoorah, Semper Fi, and all of it.
Yeah, they leave to go essentially watch the ninja version of Cannibal Holocaust on a fucking VHS tape.
Yeah, it's basically it. That's like, I'm sitting there trying to think of, I mean, name your poison. Is it Revenge of Shinobi, or is it the game Shadow Dancer? I mean, whatever it is, we have completely set up a video game just off of the world's worst mercenaries and ninjas, throw them all together and just have them run around the desert at each other. Then we'll let nature sort itself out. But then dude's getting married and just, I gotta go, honey. Duty calls. I have to save the world. It's like, Jesus Christ, man.
And then at this meeting, it's just like, just another day. I didn't just totally skip out on my own fucking wedding.
Well, they didn't have Steve James there to tell them about ninjas and the ancient art of assassination and stuff. This is just, and thank God we found out David Bradley's in the army. I mean, good God, I didn't know that. But I mean, just how that just happens. But okay, again, I'm here.
You know, that's what kills me. First of all, 2 things about this. One, wouldn't have made more sense to have Michael Dudikoff be the guy in the army, since it's the guy that we've already established is in the army, instead of the guy who's not in the army, who we've established as Sean, David Bradley. would it make sense to have Dudikoff's the guy in the army, David Garibaldi's the guy not in the army, as we said in the last film?
Yes.
That's question 1. Question 2. The conceit of this movie is that we have apparently run out of soldiers. We just have none. There's just none. There's no, like, basic training doesn't exist. Those barracks, deserted. Ghost towns. We have nobody in the military anymore. No, it has to be this guy. It has to be these 2 random dudes at the wedding. And not just David Bradley, but the other guy who we establish has no experience fighting these people. It has to be them.
Well, if you got David Bradley, you don't need soldiers. Okay.
But why do you need the dude who's getting married? It's like it can't be just like, oh, dude, here's the ring. I got to go. Bye. No, it's both of them. It's both of them. You have to get both of them.
Somebody has to be the red shirt in this movie, Scott.
Jeez,
the explanation to bring him along is complete BS too.
Oh,
he's an excellent linguist and special marksman.
He doesn't talk to anybody.
He doesn't talk, and the only time he shoots a gun, he misses every damn shot.
Ninja dodge. The worst ninjas in the world can all of a sudden dodge bullets from point blank range.
Oh, that was this movie then, where they dodged the bullets.
Oh, ninjas are chumps, man, in these movies. Ninjas are just chumps.
Yeah, I don't care if this guy's wedding falls apart. He sucked.
You know, they wrote this probably with Steve James in mind because it would have made sense.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least as Steve James getting married. And it still would have made sense with David Bradley's character being in the army. But that's okay. You could buy into it that maybe Steve James got him into it or whatever.
But you're not going to buy that Steve James was getting married.
Well,
I could buy it. I mean,
not in any of the other American Ninja movies. The dude was a walking hard on. He got like giddy anytime he was gonna get like some pussy.
Here's the weird thing, though. Didn't it just seem like in this movie, even though this movie only came out like a year after American Ninja 3, didn't it just seem when you were watching this movie like, oh, this is supposed to take place years later? I got that feeling. I got that feeling that we are now 4 or 5 years later, and that's what we're dealing with right now, and that's why we're dealing with this. It doesn't explain why David Bradley is a decorated military officer. No, fuck that. But it does. But it did seem like everybody is a different person now than they used to be. So I would have totally bought it if, like, you know, 4 or 5 years, yeah, someone meets somebody, they settle down. That happens. You know, we're middle-aged now. It happens.
I don't know.
You just get the feeling, though, that not Steve James was supposed to be Steve James.
Of course.
You really get that feeling. And since they get this guy, he gets even more shorted than Steve James has throughout this whole series. I mean, this guy, I felt really bad for him because you know, he's like a hanger on something fierce.
Oh my God, Mark, let's talk about this because so what ends up happening is the army dudes at the beginning get captured by the ninjas and are held ransom essentially. So Sean and Carl are taken out of this wedding to have this stupid meeting where they watch the ninja version of Cannibal Holocaust, and they're told they're the only 2 people that can go and rescue the POWs. So they end up getting thrown out of a plane, and we watch stock footage of random people jumping out of an airplane, and they come down to the ground on this island, and underneath their jumpsuit, Carl has a button-up shirt, and Sean has a full leather jacket on under it.
Yep.
I fucking died. I just like, no matter what was gonna happen, I'm like, this is some fucking ridiculous bullshit. Seth, what'd you think when fucking Sean takes off his jumpsuit and he's in a full leather jacket?
I don't understand where they were prepared to be at. Like, where are we landing that we have no gear, we're dressed for the mall or the nightclub, and we have literally no no plans. There was nothing happened in that meeting. So maybe I'm giving the other dude a hard time when I say he sucked. They just didn't have a damn chance in hell.
It's the dumbest fucking sequence. And they're out in the middle of this field, and some random kid comes and holds them up with a shotgun. And we are treated to the weirdest pronunciation of the word nervous that I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah.
Okay, that's far enough. Move like you was treading on eggs. Cause this thing is likely to go off if I get nervous. Capiche?
Did you notice that too, Dan?
Yeah, listen to that, and I don't want to pick on people for the way they talk or nothing, but this kid, I just wanted to wrap his mouth in duct tape and tell him to breathe out of his nose as hard as he fucking could, because it sounded like he just had like a shoe shoved in his epiglottis the entire time he tried to talk. Can you come out kind of like that? But it wasn't that he was mentally handicapped. His voice pissed me off.
Well, he was trying to do like a Italian gangster shit.
And he was failing miserably. He might have been the Delta Force ninja that we saw at the beginning, but I mean, I understand, but yeah, his voice just really annoyed me.
I don't know why he was trying to do it. The only other time that's even brought up is that short bus scene when him and the other dude are arguing about Cagney and Brando.
I mean, now I admit I would be acting a little weird too if I were face to face with David Bradley. I would be intimidated, and I would probably have a speech shoved in
You would
my
have an awkward boner. That's what you're trying to allude to.
Okay, and no need getting like all that, maybe. Yeah, it would, but yeah, just that. No, the voice just annoyed me. That's all I have to contribute to the poor kid.
So these guys are dropped off in the middle of a foreign land to rescue POWs. So I come to present you folks with one of the two movies that this goddamn movie ripped off. Mark the Movie Man, did you think this was an obvious ripoff of Rambo First Blood Part 2?
Oh yeah. You get that. You're like, wow, they aren't even hiding it. Yeah, it's like, why did you just give him the bandana and the rocket launcher?
Yes.
And a big machine gun, and have him go stand on a hill and annihilate all the ninjas, and just go. Yeah, it's you can see the influence. You're just like sitting there going, okay, I don't know what you guys are doing, but it was done a lot better in the other film, and it's just not working here.
I think they just ran out of ideas. I mean, this is obviously they took a couple movies, and we'll get to what the second movie is, because the second half of this movie turns into something I was not expecting whatsoever. But this first half of the movie is a blatant, like, they saw Rambo was big. And they're like, okay, let's write off of this. We don't really have to write too much. Let's just take the basic outline of what the beginning of Rambo was, and let's do this. And, Sean and Carl eventually get dropped down, and they try to infiltrate and rescue these guys. And they get captured eventually by this big bad who is this complete fucking creep that likes little boys. I mean, of all of the bad guys so far in the American Ninja series, he is the biggest piece of shit. And you believe that this guy is willing to do just about anything. I actually thought for the first time, I kind of liked how dark that the movie got with the bad guy. And even though it was not even remotely mildly racist against Arabs.
No.
But the bad guy actually felt like, oh, he's a fucking crazy son of a bitch. Scott, what'd you think of this guy?
No, it was not at all. Not at all racist against Arabs. It's not completely, even slightly, that they took every single jingoistic, horrible stereotype and then slathered it by piling on every single perversion they could imagine.
Yep.
And cartoon G.I. Joe villainy on top of it. No, not at all. In a canon film? What Whatever would you make you think that? No.
I like Reflecto Patch though. I thought he was a cool villain, and though I will say, their production designers, they really need to talk to their colorful ninjas, their Renta ninjas, because when we get to see them on the hill, they're all performing in front of the wrong flag. And that disturbed me. The OCD got to me. I was like, why are the yellows fighting in front of the blue flags? And
you're not alone.
Okay, I wasn't the only one that noticed that. You come up and you're like, okay, you spent all this time organizing these flags, and nobody's standing in front of the proper one. What the fuck kind of presentation is this?
Mark, they're evil. They're trying to get to you, man.
Sorry. Yes, you're right. They are evil.
They're evil. They're like, you know what? We're not even only going to try to fight the American Ninja. We're going to fuck with Mark the Movie Man, too.
They are. They are evil.
All you guys that need order and symmetry, we're going to completely fuck with you. The scene, Mark, that's funny. You know, there's this sequence where, of course, we stumble upon Godfrey Ho's ninja training grounds on the top of a cliff.
Yes.
And the main ninja has an eye patch. Looks like he's straight out of goddamn Mortal Kombat. And we just have lackey ninjas dying all over the place. Before this, we have Sean trying to infiltrate this before he gets captured. And we have this entire sequence where he's running around in what looks to be some forest in the middle of rural Wisconsin. He this whole sequence, he constructs like Rambo out of nothing. This, and it's just, it goes on forever. This bow and arrow that he shoots one arrow and fucking promptly throws the fucking bow away.
That was totally worth it.
It's like, yeah, I'm glad I had a 2-minute scene where we watched him put this thing together piece by piece to shoot one fucking arrow. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't quite make sense.
Wait till we get to Mad Max.
Oh, which is the second half of the movie where after Sean gets captured and Carl get captured and get chained up in greasy, no-shirted basements like a Dave Dakota movie. I'm surprised they weren't in white tighty-whities. All of a sudden we switch to Duty, who's teaching a class in the Peace Corps. This is 45 minutes into this movie, folks. 45 minutes into the movie that is sold as a buddy team-up movie. You see, if you look at the cover, fucking Duty's right there. 45 minutes in. He is basically guilt-tripped into trying to rescue Sean and the POWs. And in a sequence in which is essentially just a car ride, we learn the entire history and exposition of the bad guys while Duty just rides in a car. And then for some reason stumbles across an Outlander group of renegades that are not unlike all of the post-apocalyptic wastelanders in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. And Dudikoff has to prove himself by fighting Roundy's Master Blaster. And this movie again turns into a ripoff of something else. Seth, when this movie turned into Great Eagle Mad Max, what did you think of this?
Completely taken off guard, but hell, at this point, I'm for it. It's pretty obvious at this point we're not going to get much Dudikoff and Michael Bradley teaming up, if any. It turns out it wasn't any. Let's just throw some shit at the wall and have rebels with pots and pans and pitchforks and battle axes. Why the hell not? So I'm for it. At this point, I was just breathing a sigh of relief that colored ninjas came back, because we didn't see anything but black ninjas until over half an hour into the movie. So it was all, all good from here on out. Let's just fucking go crazy.
Oh, yeah, it definitely goes crazy. From this point on, all bets were off. And I remember Mark the Movie Man texting me, because I hadn't watched this movie yet, and he was watching it. And then Grand Astro Radio Z tradition during the franchise episodes, Mark the Movie Man's got to give me a live text stream of the movies he's watching. He was blown away by the fact that this all of a sudden became a Mad Max movie. I'll bet a fucking Roundy's version of a goddamn Mad Max movie. Now, Dudikoff, I want to put this out there. I'd love to have this discussion because we kind of talked in the last movie about the fact that, you know, Duty versus David Bradley and who we thought was better. And in that movie, I thought, you know what, he actually brought something to the table. I gotta admit, when Duty shows up in this movie, he's a fucking badass. Like, he's got presence. When he actually fights, he must have been training. He's kicking people's fucking asses all over the place. And I was just like, holy shit, I'm swallowing my words here. Goddamn, Duty's fucking getting it on in this motherfucker. Dan, what'd you think about Dudikoff coming back?
I think it was a great return to form. I wish it had been returned 45 minutes previously. Like, I wish we had gotten this from the beginning of the film. But I mean, I make it no mystery. I mean, I love them both. Both characters are freaking awesome. But yeah, it was nice. This was, again, I know I keep saying it over and over. It's a video game. It's a video game. It's a freaking video game. Now, it takes a little longer to get into it with this one, but it's pretty much like the basis of Metal Gear. What have you got? A compound of a sadistic, or a compound of a sadist who's trying to build a weapon to hold the world hostage. And his little miscreant guards are what? Ninjas and other, you know, soldiers of fortune or whatnot. And so what do? You have to send one guy in to take him out. Now, this is a Solid Snake. It's Michael Dudikoff, but I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, he came in there and it's, you said it best. He looks like he's worked. He has practiced for the role. It's almost like he was ready for this role. It's a very nice return to form and a welcome breath of fresh air for the movie, honestly.
Yeah, because up until this point, I mean, they really didn't give David Bradley much to do in that whole first 45 minutes. It is the worst rehash of Rambo 2, and then he just gets kidnapped. And the movie should have started with Dudikoff in the Peace Corps. I agree with Scott that they should have switched the characters.
Yeah.
They really should have. But unfortunately, this is how it is. And what ends up happening is Dudikoff ends up infiltrating the bad guy's compound during a dinner party. He dresses a priest and gives a policeman the Vulcan neck pinch and steals the plans, makes his own ninja weapons, and he turns into a ninja. And finally, unlike the last movie where David Bradley was not a ninja, he was just some karate dude kicking people in the face, which I was fine with. We're back to actual ninja shit. Fucking Dudikoff dons the ninja outfit and just starts fucking people up. He caught a fucking arrow with his teeth. How fucking badass is that, Seth? That's fucking badass, right?
It is badass, and I'm glad that it was Dudikoff coming to save Davidson and not the other way around, even though from a character standpoint it would have made more sense. But if I was one of these other guys chained up being burned at the fucking stake, let's talk about how dark this movie gets with some of the stuff compared to the other ones. It's violent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's a man on fire just running around, burned to shit. But if I'm one of these guys further down the line, chained at the stake, I want to see Dudikoff come strutting in with the blonde and the steely blue eyes piercing out of the little ninja mask, just handing out roundhouses and catching arrows with his teeth, throwing grenades onto people who's already fucked up. I know I'm getting saved at that point.
That was one of the best things. I had that in my notes. Duty blows up a bad ninja with a fucking grenade.
He'd already kicked his ass. It was done. He just pulls out a grenade and fucking backhands that thing right on top of him. At first, I didn't know what it was. I was like, is this like one of the disappearing gases? You know, the smoke bombs? No, that motherfucker blew up. And I was like, oh, shit. This is like the WCW, ECW invasion angle with Dudikoff and Stone Cold coming in handing out stunners all over the place to save WWF. Good God, man. Yeah, Dudikoff's the man.
He wouldn't fuck around. And then in that same sequence, Carl blows up a toy helicopter with a bazooka.
I love how distinctly obvious that thing is about a $50 model helicopter.
Oh my god. It's this movie literally the last half of it, and it's too bad. It goes off the rails.
Yeah.
But when it goes off the rails, it does so in this really horribly shot, bland way where you have, I mean, it is an extravagant sequence where we're talking at least 50 extras running around. There's explosions. The Wastelanders are coming to fight the ninjas. And there's this huge mashup when Duty finally gets in to rescue Sean because the bad guys have like strung him up like it's a scene from Mark of the Devil, and it's a witch burning execution. And it just culminates into this huge fucking battle that is just so horribly shot. And just like you don't get any sort of connection with the action that's going on. It's just wide shots of people running around into each other that it renders it all so pointless. I mean, Scott, did you just think the whole final battle was a bunch of bullshit?
I just at this point, I just thought, okay, this is just more random shit, and it just really felt like, okay, we've shown all of our set pieces, now let's show random shit. Even though this is the point where we should be showing people teaming up, we should be showing people the climax, we should show people what we promised from the get-go. It's just more random shit, and you kind of get the clue that this is going to happen when Dudikoff kind of just slowly saunters out. Forget the fact that there is a guy that was just set on fire who's just like flailing around. Joe Dudikoff just kind of slowly saunters out, and then the sequence starts, and it's more random shit. This movie is a lot more serious.
Yeah.
Steph was starting to touch on it, like how dark and violent it is. It's also, it doesn't have its tongue in cheek like the other ones did. At least the other ones you kind of look like where they said like, yeah, we know it's kind of silly, but come along for the ride. This one thinks like, no, we're dead serious about this. Oh my God, look at these horrible ninja warriors. Aren't they just a terrible threat? And they were really dead serious about this. And it kind of takes a little bit of the wind out of the sails, to be completely honest with you. It's just a little bit too much. That's a problem I had with this movie. It was just a little, it promised us all this stuff. You guys mentioned it was Mad Max. I thought it was, if the first part was Rambo 2, I thought the second part was Rambo 3. I mean,
I could see that.
Yeah. I mean, completely, where they get him at the school, and they have to convince him to go back into his war fighting ways, and he has to go in there, and he finds the group of rebels that he inspires, and it's probably a bad idea to inspire those rebels knowing how history worked out, but still we're gonna do it, and they still do this, and all of this stuff, I thought it was like a bunch of Rambo ripoff, and I thought that, man, by this point, I think I was used to Canon screwing me over. So it's kind of like, okay, they're doing it. And I enjoyed it a little bit more than part 3, just because I thought, well, it started out as something that they tried to do, but they just didn't get that ball over the goal line. So, no.
Can I just point out something during this whole fight sequence?
Yes, please.
What Sean's plan was, by getting all of the hostages he freed into a jail cell and closes the door and stands there while shit's going down. And then, like, after stuff starts happening, he opens the door and the girl is behind him, and he gets out and he goes, no, stay there. And she closes the barred door behind. I'm like, what is this? What kind of escape plan is this? Stay in the jail cell. You'll be safer there. I couldn't get that. I'm like, no, why are you hiding behind bars? Go help Duty, who is actually kicking ass. And yeah, the fight sequences, though, in this film in general, when you got like Dudikoff versus some ninjas, some of those were actually really good for
Yeah.
the series. I think, in all honesty, out of the 4 films that we've watched so far, this probably has some of the best choreographed and best fight scenes. But I think it goes along with what Scott was saying, is that it felt like they were trying to change the tone of the series to be a more serious action film. And in doing so, those fight scenes were handled a lot differently than the first 3 films.
Yeah. There's not all the posturing. There's not the one-liners. It's pretty much just like these dudes are fucking kicking each other's asses. And I appreciated that. In the end, I still found stuff that I enjoyed about this movie. I mean, it's still a movie about dudes kicking ninjas in the face. So I can't get too pissed about it, but it is my least favorite up until this point because it's essentially just ripoffs of other movies. So let's go into final thoughts about this thing. Seth, when it all is said and done, people duty throwing ninja grenades at fucking dead ninjas and shit like this. What'd you think of this thing?
I think it's messy. It doesn't totally know what it wants to be, but the change in tone and attitude really worked for me. Just on a personal level, I love sleazy, grimy exploitation films, and it really feels like it's what they were going for. A lot of this one. As soon as Dudikoff comes in, I think from that point on, it's my favorite part of the series up till now. Just madness happening. I like the lightheartedness of the first 3, but the kind of dark, grimy violence in this one was a nice change. It's not, none of them are all that well put together, but I'd say it's probably the least well put together, but I still have a really good time with it. Thumbs up.
Yeah, I agree with you on just about every count there. Dan?
It's American Ninja 4. By this point, you've I would say you know what to expect, but you honestly don't. Still, it's in the vein of the movies that have come before it. So many, it's a precursor of that gonzo video game culture. I hate to keep harping on that, but that has such an impact on my childhood. And this movie is the same as like those games you have. I mean, you can take Metal Gear and mix it with the first Ninja Gaiden, on the NES, and there you have this movie. Now, yeah, it does. It's just as you've said it best. Two different movies, and I wish it could have been more. I wish I would have been given what the cover looked. The cover looked like a hardcore, hard-boiled Double Dragon. It looked like what was going on in my head when I played Double Dragon. And that's kind of what I wanted. Unfortunately, it's not what we got. But for what it did right, it did right. I guess if I'm saying that properly, like the parts that it got right. And it did it well. And it made me want more. But yeah, Dudikoff was back, and we see why he is American Ninja. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, his introduction is just fucking legendarily badass. Mark the movie, man.
Yeah, everybody here pretty much said what I was thinking as well. I enjoyed this. I actually enjoyed it a little bit better than 3. The change in tone was an interesting change, and then I actually enjoyed that a little more. It is still a mess by any means, but Dudikoff definitely, you can tell he put some thought and time before he came back into this role, because this is American Ninja. I wish we would have seen this Dudikoff in the first 2 films. Holy crap. Because what he did with this character, I was just like, hell yeah, give me more of that. So yeah, the stuff they do right, they do very well. There's just a lot of stuff that doesn't work. Like during the proving scene, we get a random car, but the car misses its I'm like, why is there a car? And it just random and no one says anything. The car goes and crashes, and Dudikoff is suddenly a part of the tribe. It's like there's a lot of random stuff like that, but then you get awesome fights. You get dark scenes where you get guys set on fire, and our hero is not rushing to save people. He's like, oh, that's just an army guy. I don't need to save him. You got a darker villain. So there's a lot of elements in here I enjoyed, and it did make me enjoy it better than 3 in a lot of ways.
This is my least favorite of the series, but I still enjoy it. I can see what you guys are all saying. Scott, the movie man, finish it out.
I'm taking your thunder, Mark.
Wow, we're just taking everything from Mark tonight. I now have ended this whole night with nothing.
Mark, this is we're at 11:30.
Yes.
My brain is shutting completely fucking off at this point. I'm glad we're near the end of this episode. That was totally unintentional.
No, it's okay. It worked. I liked it. I thought that was good.
Scott, go ahead. Let's finish this out.
I do like it a little bit better than 3, but I'm gonna disagree with a lot of you guys and say that he may have been really cool in the action sequences, but as much as I accuse David Bradley of not having any charisma in part 3, I thought it was completely reversed here. I thought David Bradley had all the charisma. Michael Dudikoff was just this blank slate who was just going through action sequence after action sequence and with no real purpose, no real character. I thought that the film was slightly more enjoyable, but it was too damn serious, and because it felt so sluggish. It actually felt really convoluted and complicated, even though it wasn't. It really wasn't any more complicated than any of the others in the series, but it felt like it was because it was just so uneven, so sluggish. So I'll give it a slight edge over part 3, but I still don't recommend it. I'm sorry, I just don't dig it at all. I thought they had a really great opportunity, but they fumbled the ball here.
I like cheese pizza. I like pepperoni pizza.
I like pizza.
I'll even eat a goddamn pizza with olives on it, and I hate those little sons of bitches. That's what this movie is. I still dig it. I still had a lot of fun. They're still ninjas. They're dodging bullets. They're in ridiculous looking outfits, and they're getting kicked in the face. Can't ask for much more. And at the end of the day, so far, this fucking American Ninja gimmick is a goddamn wild success in my book. So that's it for tonight, folks. This turned into much more epic episode than I was ever expecting, but that happens from time to time. So next month, we'll be finishing this out with American Ninja 5, in which Pat Morita's in that one. So stick around for that.
You're the best around. Nothing's gonna ever shut me down.
Oh my God. So anyways, that's what we got going on. If you haven't noticed, the show's kind of been slowing down a little bit. It's probably going to be that way for a couple months. We'll see. I know Mark the Movie Man and I and Seth have episodes planned, and when those will happen, I don't know. I'm sure at some point they'll happen, but Astro Radio Z just kind of taking a little bit of a breather. So hopefully I'll get you some more episodes, but don't hold your breath. They'll happen whenever I feel like doing them. This is no longer a weekly show, and I'm kind of glad. This is just something I do for fun. So thanks for sticking around and listening to the show and hanging with us. So before we go tonight, this is the portion of the show where we have Daniel and his new segment for Astro Radio Z, Bottom Rack Films. We're going to play that segment right now.
It's me, Daniel, with another episode of the Bottom Rack. Bottom shelf entertainment for your top shelf world. Oh, fuck, that was retarded. Anyway, it's Daniel, and I'm here with another episode of the Bottom Rack. And this is going to be kind of tough to do. It's, see, I've already set the stage like this is something bad. I don't want it to come across as anything bad. The hell with it. I watched the movie The Devil's Well.
This is a recent flick, come out 2017, as my buddy Derek would call it. It's a new joint. So, The Devil's Well came out in 2017. It's an hour and a half long, a comfortable hour and a half long, and I kind of like that. Directed by Curtis Spieler, written by Curtis Spieler. And here's the setup on IMDb. Carla Marks mysteriously vanishes while conducting a paranormal investigation with her husband. A year after her disappearance, a group of paranormal investigators attempt to uncover the truth about her disappearance. This movie is brilliant. And I guess when I say it's brilliant, wow, that's it's like, wow, what the hell? This, really. It is brilliant. All right, I got to toot my own horn because it's really the only way that I can explain it. Last Halloween, I released an album for the Night Keep called Shade of Night, where I built folklore. I took, the town where I wanted to base it, which is a local area and stuff, and I took some truth, but I fabricated a whole hell of a lot of things to create an urban legend, to create a story. And then using that, I would use seeds with my actors, and together we built this whole myth. We built this whole story of, ne'er-do-well, this malefactor practicing occult things and murders and stuff. And then at the end of the album, I even got our local talk radio show host and, newscast reporter, Austin Rhodes. I got him to do a news report for me, acting like he was an actual reporter and stuff. I was basing this all in real life and stuff. Well, all right. I say all that. Oh, and by the way, that's Shade of Night. You can find it on Bandcamp. nightkeep.bandcamp.com. Anyway, The Devil's Well is that, and it's like the Blair Witch Project. You know how the Blair Witch Project starts off, and it's like the first third of the movie is, about the first third of the movie, they're going through and talking with the people in the town, and they're going over what happened, the events and stuff. That's how this movie is set up, is that Carla Marks and her boyfriend were paranormal researchers, and they were investigating something called the Devil's Well, and I forget the name of, as they build the whole story. Trust me, watch it, because that's what makes it cool. If you're into that paranormal documentary stuff, this is set up exactly like that. It's freaking awesome, where they're telling you the history of the place, and then you're finding out about the chick that turns up missing, and then her husband and how he was arrested, and then it's got an interview with him and interviews with the arresting officer and things, and they're going through what had happened. They're even showing you, they'll even play sound clips and snippets and do transitions into a full-on documentary, and it's pretty cool. And then as it continues on, you find out that Carla and her husband they are friends with another paranormal research group called Signs, and which is an acronym for whatever it means. So anyway, the Signs group decides to take Carla's husband, and they want to go back and investigate the Devil's Well. The Devil's Well basically being a portal to hell, kind of like that episode of Ghost Adventures with I think it was Bobby Mackey or whatever, this is the portal to hell, why don't you come on out and show it, that kind of thing. As pretty much the conceit behind this sort of is that there was a well supposedly possessed, or is even a portal to hell. Crazy paranormal things have happened, and then over the years, there was a factory built around it or something for whatever reason. I don't even think they can explain it in the movie. They say, well, it just happened, but so anyway, the setting for this is they lock themselves, in a paranormal research team lock themselves in that factory, and they spend the night there doing a ghost hunt. And so if you watch Ghost Hunters, if you watch Ghost Adventures, you're going to know the layout of this, and you're going to know the setup, and it's freaking awesome. I'm a junkie. I'm a found footage junkie. I'm a ghost hunting paranormal researcher junkie. And so this movie, this was tickling me in all the right places. You can take that mental image, whatever you want. This movie was so cool. And I was in. That was it. Whenever they started unloading this story, it was maybe about 10 or 15 minutes. I'm just like, geez, what is this? Is it like a documentary? I thought this was a fictional narrative. Man, once they got in there and start doing the paranormal investigation, I'm in. I am all in it for the story. And it's what I don't care what's going on. I am in this. Take me on a journey. And I went and loved everything about this except the last 5 minutes. This movie, it did it just right. Maybe this is, and I don't know if it's because of indie film. I'm sure it has something to do with that, but I appreciate clean films. I appreciate clean movies. In other words, if you've got a $10,000 camera, well, hot damn, use that $10,000 camera. Let me see the acne on these actors' faces. None of the actors have acne. I'm just saying, this movie is clean and crisp and sharp, and I like it. It's not done when they transition into the POV. You're going to get, some of your night camera footage and some staticky stuff. And that's fine. I expect that. But man, like the camera just showing like whenever they would turn the real light on and stuff, there's some really clean, crisp camera work here. It's very nice. It's very refreshing because the setting of this place is all dark. So you've only got flashlights and, small little key lights that they use, but not like, winky fingers like key lights, like professional photo studio. No, it's just, lights set off to the side like an actual paranormal research team. It's freaking awesome. So they go through and you're witnessing a ghost hunt. And you get the standard stuff, little bangs, and did something touch me? Did something just scratch me? Stuff like that. And then you'll hear a door slam or, a voice, disembodied voice, what they call EVP. You'll hear that. There's a turning point in this. Oh, and eventually they find the chick by the well. She just appears. So eventually there is a turning point in this film. And something happens, and I'm not going to give the gag away because, again, I'm not going to discourage anyone from watching it or not watching it. You watch it, it's cool. Thumbs up or thumbs down, I'll give you my rating. The fact that I'm talking about this now for going on 7 minutes and 38 seconds means that there's something cool about it. So, take that for what you will. Anyway, there's an event that happens, and when that happened, I was like, holy shit. I got chills. I haven't seen something like this happen since Grave Encounters or, by God, like one of my absolute favorite movies, As Above, So Below. When that happened, I was so ready. I was like, holy shit, here we go. Here we go. I'm grinning. I'm starting to get my little seat shuffle going on because, I'm just excited. I'm ready for it. And then things happen. And unfortunately, that last 5 minutes, it didn't piss me off, but it was almost like it was like I felt let down. It was like, God damn it, this movie could have been, like I said, this movie could have been the coolest thing since As Above, So Below for me. This could have been the shit. This could have been the coolest thing since Grave Encounters. And it just, the ending, it just wasn't. It was not for me. It's still creepy. Don't get me wrong. It's very creepy. It's very moody. But after the ending, as I go back to that pivotal moment that I told you about, it's like, oh, I see what that was. Oh. And unfortunately, that's it. That's all I can say about it. It's not like, oh, I get it. Or it's just, bummer. That's, what a shame. But then again, that's just me. That's my personal taste. The fact that I told you, one of my favorite movies is As Above, So Below. Any friend of mine's going to tell you another one of mine is, Event Horizon. There's certain movies that I really like. I love the supernatural. I embrace it. I love it. And I want more of it. And I like the evil supernatural stuff, so bring it on, man. Hell world, demons, bring it all. The Devil's Well, unfortunately for me, just basically became the Devil's Oh Well. But if that thing was 90 minutes, dudes, I'm telling you, 85 minutes of that was absolutely awesome. If you appreciate film, I'm telling you to watch it. If you appreciate ghost hunting, watch it. If you appreciate how to set up a documentary, watch it. There's, as much as I don't like it, I really can't think of a reason to tell you to not watch it other than the fact to just be prepared to not enjoy the reveal. Be prepared to not enjoy the ending. And that's only if you prefer straight cut supernatural. In this instance, it's kind of ambiguous, but it's not supernatural enough for me. So that's just, let me leave it. But anyway, it's called The Devil's Well. It's 2017. It's a brand new movie. You'll probably find it on the bottom shelf at Walmart. And I mean, if not, you can get it on, the hell did I watch it? Amazon Prime. And I enjoyed it. If you want to make a film, watch it. If you're an indie filmmaker, watch it. You'd really do well. If this is your style, if you like, you know, limited, secluded locations and working on a shoestring budget, I mean, this is a good one to watch, man. They pulled off a story, there's hardly no gore, which is, you know, I'm a gore hound, but it doesn't matter. There's hardly no gore and still creepy. Like I said, there's this one part in this movie that was freaking creepy. And that's that turning point that I referenced to. But yeah, as far as world building and a story and everything, this was good stuff. So The Devil's Well. So anyway, that's bottom rack, bottom shelf entertainment for your top shelf lifestyle. I'm still working on that. Shit. Anyway, I'm Daniel, and I will holler at y'all later.
Thanks for listening to that, folks. This is the portion of the show where my guest shamelessly shills the fuck out of you. We're going to start with Seth Bowlen. Shill.
Thanks again for checking out this episode, and for Derek for having me, and everyone else on the panel for listening to me bitch and enjoy it more. So I don't know what I'm talking about. You can find me at Celluloid Terror on Blogspot, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube for all sorts of horror and cult film reviews. That's it.
Daniel.
Well, I mean, same as always, man. Thanks for having me on, especially with these movies. It's so fucking awesome. Best place to find me, I guess, is here. I mean, just on Astro Radio Z podcast, but sometimes around Halloween or something. Maybe if you went and checked out, I don't know, nightkeep.bandcamp.com, get you some little Halloween music. But otherwise, no, you can just find me on here.
Mr. Mark, the Movie Man.
You can check out my new film, 50 Shades of Astro Radio Z. And I'm going to be strapping myself to a board and getting spanked by a spanking machine for 90 minutes while I quote past episodes.
Is there butt stuff in this movie, though?
Oh, absolutely.
Good. I'll watch it.
No, you can find my stuff at specialmarkproductions.com.
Awesome. Last but not least, Mr. Scott Davis, the Movie Man.
Shalom, y'all. You can catch me at movieocrity.com, or you can also check out past episodes of my web series Movieocrity at vimeo.com/channels/movieocrity.
Again, thanks for sticking with us, folks. And until next time, man, shoot all those fucking toy helicopters out of the skies with bazookas. They're a damn nuisance.
You can find Astro Radio Z on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Google Play, YouTube, and anywhere podcasts are found. Please help us by subscribing, rating the show, and giving us a review. It helps us get the show out to more listeners. Also, if you would like to hear more of the show and be a more active participant, join the Astro Radio Z Facebook group and page, and join the Patreon. For only $1 a month, you get bonus episodes. Thank you for listening. See you next week, Astro Zombies.